Good night, what's up, Vera? Hope you guys enjoyed my show I made earlier today. Did you go on the trouble the Ivan? Yeah, I did, man. I did. I'm almost ending 3 weeks. I went 4 days straight this week. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I'm gonna rest. And then next week is my cheat day. Wednesday. And then Sunday is my cheat day when I get food. When I get paid at Denny's, I'll get maybe, I don't know, Domino's pizza again, and maybe wings with like barbecue sauce and stuff, right? Yep. Ivan, is a 1980 U.S. Upset what really an amazing event? Oh yeah, it's the biggest sport upset in history, man. That's why those it was such a big sport event. They made a movie out of it called Miracle. I own the movie. They made a movie called Miracle, and I think they did like two documentaries on it. They did an older documentary in like the 2000s. They did a new one on Netflix. It's called Boys of the 80s. I saw the whole documentary on Netflix. It was the biggest sporting upset event in history. I think there's another one in basketball too, but like the real big one is the hockey one with the Soviets. The Soviets was such an amazing team. They won like 4 straight gold medal rounds from like 64 to like 76 or something like that. And they were so good, and they did such amazing training, they even beat the NHL All-Stars at the time. I told you the depth of talent for the NHL All-Stars is not the same depth of talent that you have today, right? I saw the game. The game has evolved. The Soviets were amazing. They were an amazing team for their time, but I mean, if they played the NHL All-Stars today, they get destroyed. They would get annihilated by the NHL All-Stars. I don't know, 7-2, 6-2. They'd probably score a few goals here and there, but the NHL All-Stars would destroy them. Yeah. You got McDavid. McDavid would make those defenders look like fools if he played against those guys. And all you college kids who played in that game in the Olympic USA team know I'm talking. Yeah, Ivan, you're right, man. They were a product at the time. They were an amazing team at that time. But like the NHL All-Stars, yeah, McDavid would make those defenders look like fools, man. Yeah. Does that make sense? Crosby, Ovechkin, McKinnon, Austin Matthews, Brad Marchand, PK Subban, they got destroyed. Chera. Well, Chera retired on Chera. They got destroyed. The annihilation. That's funny, I know. Got destroyed. Ivan, what are the challenges are Pro Hockey League? It's not high. It's too risky. I don't want to take that risk. I'd rather just be a movie star with VJ. I'm not taking that risk. Or I start the league instead of playing. I'm a GM and a coach or something like that. But I mean, you're not really going to see me much if I coach. Or GMs, you don't see me. I'm behind the scenes. Coaching, you'll see me on the bench. But like the real glory is me as a player. But I'll be maybe 50 years old. I might be too old to play. Yeah, I mean, you're 50, but I'm 50, but I look 30. But will I feel 30? I may look 30, but I might feel like a 50-year-old. But chances are I'll be 50 and I feel like a 30-year-old. If I feel like a 30-year-old, then I can play like 20, 25 years as an undrafted signed free agent. Does that make sense? I'm not a draft pick. I'm too old to get drafted. Yeah, no, I'm not a draft pick, obviously. I'm not a draft pick. Why won't you, if you start that Rocket League, why won't you have a cap over $200 million? Because that's good enough, and these players are not worth any more now. What I'm paying them is enough. I'm not gonna have players make 60, 70 in my league. They're not worth that. You're overpaying them, and they're duping you. Yeah. At the end of the day, the real reason why the league is making that money is because, I mean, the players have a little part to play. Like, the fans love them, and they're entertaining the people watching. Obviously, they're driving the entertainment value of the game. The fans buy their merch. They have a little part to play, but I'm ultimately the main event. That's why I'm not going to have these players dupe me. Does that make sense? Yeah. This is more than the NBA. NBA's salary cap is like 150 something million. And the NFL just blows. The NFL salary cap is almost 300 million. I think it's like 270 million the NFL salary cap. Yeah, that's how you know the NFL is much richer than the NBA, all these other pro leagues. The NFL has much deeper pockets than all these pro leagues. Yeah. But star NBA players on average make more than star NFL players. Why? Because NFL, they have bigger rosters. That's why on average, NBA players make more than NFL players. Does that make sense? NFL, you have like, I don't know, 40-something. You have like 40-something players on your active roster. You have maybe like, I don't know, 10 guys on your practice roster. Does that make sense? Yeah. 8 guys on your practice roster, whatever, how it works. So you have more players to pay. That's why NFL players, most star players in the NFL on average make less than the NBA players and even MLB players. MLB has about a similar salary cap. And the NHL has the lowest salary cap. NHL is about like 100 million. MLB and NBA is like 150. But I told you, like, for an NBA team, you only have maybe 15, 16 players on your team. I don't know, 16 players, 17 players on your team, whatever it is. So the GMs have a lot more cap space to pay the star players in the NBA. Does that make sense? NHL, they have 23 players to pay, but they only have about a $100 million cap, so they're more limited in how much the star players can make. Does that make sense? And the NFL, it just blows the other leagues out of the water. They have like a $270 million cap for each team. Something crazy. But even though my cap is 200 million, keep in mind, on average, these players playing in my league are making more than even the NFL players. Yeah. Highest paid player in the NFL is making 50 million, Patrick Mahomes. See, I believe there's another quarterback who's making maybe 55 or something like that, a bit more, but Patrick Mahomes is one of the highest paid players in the NFL. He's making 50 million a season. Whatever it is, right? He signed a 10-year, like $500 million deal. Patrick Mahomes. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. What's the max amount for the star players in your league? If I start a league, hypothetically speaking, 32 million. And then for generational or talent, if like, I don't know, if every like 10, 20 years you have maybe 2, 3 generational guys, those guys can get a bit more. They can get 40 to 50 million. But I recommend the GM start them off at 40. That way you create cap space to pay the other players. 32 million is good enough for the players, right? That's good enough. Even though it's a bit less than what like Stephen Curry and Patrick Mahomes are making, with your league revenue, you're making a similar amount of money, right? You get 32 million, 30 million, you get 14 million league revenue. You made 44 million that season. You made 3, 4, 5 million of league revenue. You still made like $50 million for that season. The next season, you get another like $44 million check. And after the 2 years, you have to start taking your pay cuts. You get 30 million for 2 seasons, and you get like 27, then you get like 24, then you get 20. Final season, you get maybe 18 million, whatever it is. That way you create cap space to pay other players. GM want to trade other players, bring other players on board, free agent players, like they have to pay those players, right? So you have to take pay. That's the way you create cap space. Does that make sense? I know you should get out of my shit. Yeah. Yeah, I did some research with the Edmonton Oilers. I know why the team fell apart. Stan Bowman made quite a bit of roster changes. They lost some of their amazing players. I think like five of their their good players left to another team, and he brought in new guys, and their performance dipped. So I don't think it was a coaching issue this season. It was a roster issue. But Stan Bowman threw the head coach under the bus, obviously, as all GMs do, obviously. Coaching might have had a bit of a part to play with it. Maybe the coach in Edmonton, his coaching quality went downhill this season, but like the fact that Stan Bowman lost quite a bit of his players, and the performance went downhill, is probably a roster issue. I heard he also got a new goalie. Yeah, but at the same time, maybe the other coach didn't coach the players well. But I think it's probably a roster issue. The fact that the Edmonton Oilers went to the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, you would think they would almost make it this year. They'll have almost that same quality, and the quality went downhill while they lost in the first round. It's probably a roster issue. But Stan Bowman threw his coach under the bus. Because GMs do all the time. They do that to buy themselves more time. They convince upper management and owners, okay, if I bring in a new coach, hopefully we can win. But I mean, you also have to put together a great team, Stan, right? That's how it works. Yeah. Do you think McDavid would have stayed in Edmonton had the Oilers won a championship? Probably, yeah. He would have been an Edmonton Oiler for his whole career. Had they won at least one or two championships, David would have stayed. Maybe not his whole career, but he would have extended it for a little bit, maybe for 4 years, 5 years. He would have extended it for a little bit longer. But McDavid's on Super Bowl. Yeah, I lost 2 championships 2 years in a row. This year it fell apart. I'm giving you guys 2 years to really ramp up this thing, and if I don't get my cup, I'm out of here. McDavid's not stupid. That's why he signed a 2-year deal, to see if the Edmonton Oilers can take their team to the cup again and win. But I mean, if they don't win next season, which I highly doubt they will, because there is a curse in the NHL with Canadian teams. McDavid's out of there. I don't see him staying. He's going to explore other opportunities. I recommend he goes to an American team. Obviously. You think they're going to trade McDavid? I highly doubt it. I think McDavid will just go into free agency. He's in the open market, and other teams are going to be throwing him a lot of money all over the league, obviously. McDavid will probably demand at least his $10 million. He's still prime McDavid. He has to put maybe another 2 more years of McDavid in his prime. McDavid, right? He's 29 now, so he probably has maybe 2 more years, so he's 31. And after 31, his quality performance might dip a little bit, like Crosby did in his 30s. Obviously. Instead of putting up 130, 140, McDavid might be putting up maybe 195 points now. Like Crosby was still averaging about 90 points in his 30s. So he was playing at a high level. McDavid will probably average around that range too, later in his 30s. That's why he signed 2 years of Edmonton, because McDavid's not stupid. He knows, man. He wants to get his cut, man. I recommend he goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins if they can afford him, or maybe go to Chicago or maybe Colorado with McKinnon. McKinnon and McDavid will work well together, but can they afford McKinnon and McDavid together? I don't know. Or maybe Chicago with Bedard. There's a lot of good options out there. Yeah. What do you think is the best place for McDavid to go? Probably the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh Penguins, you have good depth. You have Malkin, you have Crosby and McDavid. Having McDavid and Crosby on the same line, Carl with good offensive systems that create scoring opportunities, and you have Malkin on second line. You have some depth there, and have good defense, obviously, and good goaltending. The GM for Pittsburgh Penguins has two choices. They can either wrap up their defense if they have the money, bring in some pretty good defensive players for some of your lines, although you have some depth, or focus on getting an amazing goalie and then bring in pretty good defending players. That way you strengthen your chances of winning your games. But the Pittsburgh Penguins are not doing that good anymore, right? But if McDavid went to Pittsburgh Penguins, him and Crosby would work very well together. They're a huge threat, both those guys together. They're generational players. Yeah. I have no shit. Yeah, and I recommend the coach, when they watch film on the teams, they bring those three guys in and sit them down and okay, what's the best way to create scoring opportunities with this team, and then like McDavid and Crosby and Malkin, they talk about offensive schemes that can strengthen their scoring opportunities. And the Pittsburgh Penguins would be a powerhouse again and maybe win another championship. Because all McDavid needs is just one championship in his career, and he's good. But it doesn't hurt for him to get at least two, right? Two is good, but I mean, as long as he has one, he's good, right? Ovechkin will be talked about as a legend, one of the greatest NHL hockey players in history. He beat Wayne Gretzky's record, and he has one ring, so he's good. Ovechkin has one championship. He's good. He has a championship. You got to win championships, man, as a legendary player. If you don't have any championships, no one's really going to talk about McDavid. Even if he hits 2,000 points, they're not really going to talk about him being... Yeah. Because if McDavid hits 2,000 points, he's second in points behind Gretzky. So and he has a championship. People are going to talk about McDavid as being arguably the third, second best hockey player who ever played the game in the NHL. Man. That's how good McDavid is. I think he will hit 2,000 points, McDavid. And Crosby might hit it too if he averages maybe 70 points a season and plays another 4 years. He'll hit 2,000 points. Crosby's at 1,700 points. So he's like, He's like 200. He's at 700, 50, 60 points, whatever it is. He only needs about 200 points to hit 2,000. But he has to put up at least, because he's in his 40s now, if his performance, that's the thing, though. He has to average at least he only needs to average 50 points a season for 4 years, and he'll hit 2,000 points, Crosby. So Crosby might hit 2,000 points too. You never know, right? No Hamilton, yeah. No NHL player has ever hit 2,000 points except for Wayne Gretzky, right? No NHL player has ever achieved the feat of hitting 2,000 points. That makes sense. Yeah. McDavid will be talked about at least as the top, maybe 5, 6, 7, 3, whatever his best hockey players ever played the game in the NHL, right? He's up there, obviously. Crosby, too. And Ovechkin, they're all up there, those guys. Jerome Jagger, and... Yeah. What do you think is the best opportunity for Edmonton to win a Stanley Cup? Goaltending and defense. Their defense was horrible this year, and their goaltending was horrible. They have to have a good goaltending. So this offseason, I recommend Stan Bowman evaluates the goaltending performance. He brings in a very good goalie, and they have to ramp up their defense because they don't have to worry about offense. They have McDavid and Draisaitl. They just have to come up with good offensive systems, and those guys will score. You really got to ramp up your defense and have good goaltending. But I mean, there is a curse in the NHL with Canadian teams. I'm gonna keep saying that. Like a Canadian team has not won. Like even though the Montreal Canadiens are doing amazing, I highly doubt they're gonna win the Stanley Cup. Chances are they're gonna, if they make it to the Stanley Cup, the Montreal Canadiens are gonna lose. Or you never know, they might make history and win it this year. But I told you there is a curse in the NHL with Canadian teams, right? The Canadian teams can't beat the American teams. That's how it works. No games, you know. Yeah, Crosby will be 40 next year. He has another maybe 4 or 5 years left in him. And he's still playing on a high level. I think him and McDavid would gel well together on a team. And you have Malkin on second line for depth on your team. Does that make sense? And ramp up your defense or ramp up your goaltending. Have amazing goaltending and have mediocre defense. You can create maybe the Penguins might be a powerhouse again. They might get their cup. I don't know. McDavid might get a couple of Crosby. I don't know. Does that make sense? But can the Penguins afford McDavid? I don't know if they can. McDavid's expensive. He's on the open market. Like McDavid will demand at least $10 million a season, right? Some teams might even offer McDavid even that 12, but McDavid will gladly take a pay cut of $10 million if the GM convinces him to sign with with Pittsburgh, obviously. But will Crosby and Malkin take a pay cut? I don't know if they will. They probably will, but they're greedy. Those guys. Those guys, they want to get paid. They might not mind maybe taking a $500,000 pay cut a little bit. Or they can bring McDavid on board. They don't want to take a huge pay cut because those guys are still playing at a high level. They want to get paid. Because Malkin and Crosby are costing the Penguins a lot of money on the cap. So can they afford those three guys on one team? You're gonna have to maybe release another guy, trade another guy, and yeah. What's the key if McDavid goes to the Penguins? I'm they speaking. They have to come up with good offensive systems with McDavid and Crosby on the same. Have them on the same line together. I know I'm doing, obviously. And then Malkin's second line for depth. And for power plays, you have three of those guys together to create scoring opportunities. Have good offensive systems with that. And they have to ramp up. They have to have defensive depth. Pretty good defense. Good defense. They have to bring in some good defensive players who are free agents on the market, good players in the league, or they get an amazing goalie, and they have pretty good, not bad defense. But if you have amazing goaltending, you don't really have to worry that much about your defense, obviously. But if you don't have it, if your goalie is above average, if your goaltending is above average, that's when you have to have great defense. So it's like, yeah, either get a really good goalie and you have a mediocre defense, or you have good depth in your defense and you have above average, pretty good goaltending. I mean, it's up to the GM. But can he afford a really good goaltender? I don't know. Get like some veteran guys who are a bit older, who are still playing at a high level. Those guys are cheaper. They'll gladly sign like a $2.5, $3 million deal. Does that make sense? Whereas the younger guys are the ones who are more expensive, who are breaking out of the league. Those guys, they can't. The Penguins can't afford. Can't afford all those star players right in the NHL. They only have like a 95, $100 million cap. Does that make sense? All right, how do you know Crosby and David work well together? Because I saw them playing on the Four Nation face-off, and Ross and McDavid, they work so well together. Within like when I played one game, within the first like I don't know, minute of the game, they scored, man. Because McDavid and Crosby have high hockey IQ. They know how they have amazing on ice vision, and they have amazing position with their passing. They have amazing hockey IQ. So both of those guys together, it's amazing. You just coach them well and have good offensive systems. You can have a successful season. You have Malkin on the second line for depth, and you have amazing goaltending or really good defense. You never know. They could get a cup, or I could be wrong, and the team is still terrible. I don't know. Makes sense. And that will build buzz around the league, obviously. Having McDavid on the same team as Crosby, that's crazy buzz. Yeah. I agree, I know. Yeah. All right, do you think Stan Bowman threw the coach under the bus? Yeah, he did. I did some research. He did make quite a bit of roster changes, Stan Bowman, on the team, and it fell apart. Because at the end of the day, there's only so much a great coach can do. But if you know a coach is great if he takes you to two straight championships, and then the third season the team falls apart because of some but and what the GM does, they throw the coach under the bus to make you think it's a coaching issue when in reality it's a roster issue. These players that you brought in are not good enough, and they're not as talented as the players who you lost, obviously, the free agency or trades, whatever it is. That's why the Edmonton team fell apart. So I believe it's a management issue. Obviously, with Jackson and Bowman, it's not a coaching issue, or it is a coaching issue. But I highly doubt. If somebody tells me it's a roster issue with the Edmonton Oilers, it's not a coaching issue. Bowman and Jackson just threw the coach under the bus because they want to save their jobs. Obviously, as a lot of GMs do that. Williams, yeah. I told you, McDavid leaves the Oilers. Bowman, the fans are going to call for the firing of Bowman. Like, dog. Guaranteed they will. And they will fire Bowman if McDavid leaves. They just lost the best player in the NHL playing today, right? They just lost the best player in the NHL to another team. Bowman's out of there. That's why he has a lot of pressure. Yeah, that's why he's desperate. I even saw his press conference. He said, yeah, like, we're not looking to win in like 5 years. No, we want to win now, because he knows if he doesn't get that cup, McDavid's out of there. He's desperate. I was, yeah, Ivan, I'm desperate, man. It's a lot of pressure. I fucked up, man. I built an amazing team. We won the 2 straight championships. We lost. And this year, everything just fell apart. What happened? And I figured it out. I'm like, yeah, it's the roster change, Stan. You lost like 5 players to other teams, and your team fell apart. You lacked the depth that you had previously. Obviously, I don't think it really was a coaching issue. It was a roster issue. But sometimes it's a coaching issue, and sometimes it's a roster issue. Does that make sense? Yeah. Coaching has a little to play with it, obviously. But if you have a coach who takes your team to 2 straight championships, and the third year you lose in the first round, something tells me it's most likely not a coaching issue. It's a roster issue. Your team was not good enough. Doesn't matter how great you are of a coach, if you don't put together good depth of talent on your team, you can't win your games, man. There's only so much a great coach can do. Does that make sense? You need talent too. Talent is important, obviously, on your team. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Why do GMs do that? Like, why do some GMs throw coaches under the bus? They to take the heat off them, man. Take the heat off from the press, the fans, the owners. They do that to take the heat off them. Okay, to take the heat off me, I gotta can this guy. That way I could buy myself a bit more time, maybe 1 or 2 years to turn this thing around. And eventually, if things go downhill after 2 years, they bring in a new coach, the GM gets canned. That's how it works. That's funny, I know. Eventually, the GM gets canned. You get the news. I know how it works in pro sports. Yeah, this GM got fired. They can the GM. Yeah, the owner. If you bring in a new coach and things still go downhill, it's obviously not a coaching issue. It's more of a roster. It's more of a roster issue on a team, and they can the GM. You didn't put together a great team. You're out of here, and they hire a new GM. That's how it works. And then that new GM might can the current coach, and he brings in a new coach and who fits more with his vision. Usually, that's how it works. And sometimes they keep the current coach. It just depends. I know how it works in pro sports. That's not word. That's funny. I know. Yeah, I understand why they do that. Like the GMs, the pro business is a dirty, tough grilling business. It's a results business. If you don't produce results, you get canned. That's how it works. It's pressure, obviously. So the GMs, because they're so stressed out, sometimes they have to can their coach. Even though sometimes the GMs know it is a roster issue, they throw the coach under the bus to buy themselves more time. So they don't want to get fired, man. Like, it's fun being a GM in pro sports, even though it's dirty work. And they're making a lot of money. It's fun being a part of all that buzz with the crazy fans. They don't want to get fired. That's why they throw the coaches under the bus. Sometimes they don't throw the coach under the bus. Sometimes it is a coaching issue. And sometimes it's a roster issue. The GMs just choose to throw the coaches under the bus. And they fire them. And they bring in a new coach. And then you have the same results. And then they get canned because the owners figure out, yeah, it's not a coaching issue. It's a management issue. They're not putting together a good team. They're not drafting well. Not signing the right players. Does that make sense? Good enough players. The team is not that great and they get canned. That's how it works in pro sports. That's funny, I know. Yeah. Pro sports is a grilling, dirty business, man. It's unsustainable and people just get fired left and right. Everyone's just fighting to keep their jobs, man. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy, man. Everyone's just fighting to keep their jobs. Yeah, man. Everyone's fighting. That's funny. Everyone's fighting to keep their jobs. Yeah. Five, is coaching psychological too? Yes, it is. You have to push the players and motivate them to work hard for you, obviously. And you have to get the players to connect with you and resonate with you. If the players don't like you, that's not good. Your locker room could be a mess, and they won't work as hard for you, and then you can have a poor performance on the field from the players. You have to gel well with the players. Coaches who yell, there's nothing wrong with yelling at your players, but do it at the right moment. Don't do it all the time and be a dick. And the players don't like you. The players don't like you. They're not going to work hard for you. You may be an amazing coach, but if you're yelling at them and putting them down, everything, the players can get angry and they won't like you and they won't work as hard for you. So that's psychology and mental is a part of it too. It's all part of it, right? You have to like having amazing systems is a part of it. Watching film as well as psychology, mental. You have to really build confidence in your team, motivate the players to work hard for you, and pump them up to really work hard. Like that's a part of it. And if you're an asshole of a coach, they're not going to work as hard for you because they don't like you, obviously. And sometimes players even complain to the GMs and the owners. Yeah, I don't like this guy, man. If you don't get rid of this guy, I'm leaving. They threaten they tell the GMs that, and then the GM ends up canning the coach, especially if that player is a star franchise player. Yeah, they can can the coach because of that. Yeah. If the team knows they're going to lose a star player, they can can the coach. Yeah. Because the players are more valuable to the owners and GMs than the coaches. Like at the end of the day, they're the talent, they're the product on the ice. Right? The coaches have a part to play, but at the end of the day, it's the players are the ones who are playing the game. They're the talented players. Obviously, they're more valuable to the owners and GMs and the coaches, obviously, because they're the product that the league is selling to the public. Obviously, they're putting on a show, and the fans love them, and the fans love the coaches, but they love the players more. They really love the players, the fans. That's why, yeah, psychology, mental is a part of coaching too. That makes sense. I have no idea. I know my shit. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I believe the 1980 U.S. I saw a documentary. I believe the 1980 U.S. Hockey team, they beat the Soviets because Herb Brooks had good offensive systems to capitalize on their opportunities to beat the Soviets, obviously, and he prepared them psychologically, mentally for that moment, for that game. They were psychologically like so prepared for that game. They were determined to win. That's why like coaching is not just like it's not just like smarts and like coming up with amazing systems. No, like psychology and mental is a part of it. You have to really motivate the players and have them motivate them to really work hard for you, be determined to win. That's a part of it in coaching, right? It's not just the physical stuff, the conditioning and practicing. No, like the mental part has a part to play too. Does that make sense? Is it good to yell at players? It's good to yell at players at the right moment, but don't do it too much whereby like you're a dick and they don't like you. If a player is not performing well in practice and all stuff, push them to work hard, obviously. And they work hard. As Herb Brooks, obviously, yeah, like all the players who played in the 1980 U.S. hockey team said Herb Brooks was a dick. Obviously, he was a dick of a coach. Obviously, but like he was still an amazing coach, and he coached them well, and he prepared them mentally for that moment when they faced the Soviets. That's why it's such an amazing story. Biggest sporting upset in history, man. These college kids, even though a lot of them were NHL draft picks, obviously, they beat the fucking Soviets. They were the best team in the world at the time. I told you, the 1980 Soviets would get destroyed by the NHL. Also, I don't know if I'm saying that right. McDavid would make those defenders like fools. Crosby, McKinnon, Austin Matthews, Ovechkin, and PK Subban and Brad Marchand, like Chera, they would get destroyed, man. Ivan, they're product of the time. Yeah. And the U.S. 1980 hockey team, you guys don't talk about them. Yeah, Ivan, they were amazing for the time, but they played the NHL. They get destroyed. I saw the game. I saw the way the Soviets played and everything. I'm like, yeah, McDavid would make these guys look like fools. These defenders look like fools. Oh, yeah, I'm saying, yeah. Crosby would make these. They would get destroyed. Oh, yeah, I'm saying, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, why? What if they had today's training? Even if the 1980 Soviets had today's training, they would still lose. they would still lose, man, to the NHL All Stars. The NHL All Stars are they're just too good. They would outplay, they would outperform, and they would. The Soviets were able to heal these guys, man. They get destroyed. They might put up a few goals here and there, but they would get them not. They would get destroyed, man. I saw the way they played. It's amazing, but it's not like McDavid, Crosby, and McKinnon and Ovechkin. They get destroyed, man. Oh my god. McDavid would make those defenders look like fools, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. Why do teams have caps? That way it's fair and teams don't cheat, obviously. There's a reason why in pro sports you have caps. That way the teams don't cheat. It's not fair if a team has more money to spend. They have more money to spend, they can pay the players more money. If you pay the players more money, you can get more better players from other teams, and you have an unbalanced equation in a team. You can be winning championships every year. It's not fair. That's why you have to have fairness in the league. Obviously, they have caps to keep the team to keep it fair, and that way the teams don't cheat. Like, duh, that's why the pro leagues have that. They keep it fair. You can only sign so many star players. That's why they have caps. If one team has like $100 million more to spend, you can bring in more star players in the league and sign them to huge deals. And now the other leagues don't have as good players, and chances are like that team might be winning a lot of championships. It's not fair. It's unbalanced. Obviously that's why they have um, caps, obviously, to keep it fair. Does that make sense? I told you a lot of owners on stuff and a lot of GMs on stuff. They pay the players under the table. Obviously, they bribe some players to stay with money and all that stuff under the table. All pro sports. I heard stories about that with Wayne Gretzky. I heard stories in the CFL. I also told me stories about the CFL. They bribe players. The GM. All you bribe them, they pay the money on the table. They bribe them. Obviously, they give them money, offer them money to stay. Obviously, that's how it works in pro sports. That's not a part of the cap, obviously. That's teams that own. That's the owners who do that, right? The owners are the ones who offer it to them. Okay, offer this player like a good I don't know, 50K to bribe him to stay, and pay him a lot of money for his contract. They do that, and the players end up staying with that team. That's what they do in pro sports. They pay players on the As Wayne Gretzky admitted that the owner gave him a $1 million check to keep him in. Was it the Los Angeles Kings? I think before he was about to retire, or was it the Rangers? I don't remember. 999, and Wayne Gretzky turned it down. Yeah, they bribe players. They pay players on money on the table. I know you should. I know my shit. Yeah. All right, will there be any owners for your team? 25 teams in your league. Ironically, I'm speaking. No, I own all 25 teams. I'm the owner. I own the whole thing. I own it. I own it with BJ, right? BJ owns it too, obviously, with me. Yeah. Every team is run by the presidents, obviously. The presidents, the upper management, the GMs, they run it. The vice presidents, they run the teams, but like there is no owner for each team. I own the whole thing. I'm the owner. I'm the one paying all the bills. I own the whole thing. I'm the one paying the bills in the league. Now put like 14 billion back into the league each season. That's like 560 million in operating budget for each team. That's enough money for the teams. $200 million towards the cap, and the rest to pay all the bills, pay all the employees working in the league, the play-by-play guys, sparring players, all those guys have to get paid. Yeah. Well, you have talk show hosts. Yes, I will. You have a couple guys do talk shows who work in the league. Start them off at a good like $150,000 salary. That's good enough, right? $150,000 salary, and they get raises. 200 is a bit too much. Start them off at 150K salary. They do talk shows, radios to build buzz about the league, and they talk about like you have radio, you have talk shows at work in the SHL, and they film it, and they have all these talk shows. Now you have Skip Bayless and Shannon. The show got canceled. They talked about the NFL and the NBA and all that stuff. Yeah, you have something like that for my league to build buzz. That makes sense. Why did that show get canceled? Because the Skip Bayless show got canceled because Skip was and Shannon had a falling out, obviously, and Skip was very disrespectful to Shannon, obviously. Like they had arguments and it didn't work out. My younger brother used to watch the show all the time, right, on YouTube, and like he showed me a few clips of them arguing and everything, and they had a falling out. And once Shannon left, everything went downhill, and then the show got canceled, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, you have a talk show like the Skip Bayless to build buzz, but they're working in my league. Have a few. How many shows? I don't know. Have maybe a good maybe. You can do a thing where you have a talk show, a radio and talk show for each team, or you have maybe like I don't know 6 talk shows that just talk about like all the teams in the league. I mean, I don't know. You could do like one like you have one guy that talks about the gym, like a couple guys talk about like what's going on around the league and everything, and you have each a talk show for each team and a radio for each team. They talk about the season and everything to build buzz, and they work in your league. You start those guys off at like a 152. Start them off at $120,000 salary. Those guys, that's good enough. Obviously, and the guys that have more experience, you can pay them 150, 160,000. It's a good paycheck for those guys. Yeah, that way they can pay their bills and they live a great life. But if they want their millions, they're not worth that. Those guys, right? I'm like, yeah, you guys are not worth your millions. You're never gonna get your millions. You're not worth that. There you go. That's how we build buzz for the league. No, I mean, like, fuck you, man. This is my dick, man. He's our broccoli. You're gonna crush. I know. I'm gonna crush Andrew Hopkins. Be crushed. A lot of ex-GMs will be applying to my league. Stan Bowman will obviously apply to if he gets fired, right? Okay, he'll apply to, obviously. Like, duh, all those guys are going to apply. It's crazy. A lot of coaches who work in the NHL are going to apply to work in my league. I can pay them more than what the NHL can pay them. Well, you're being a bit too generous with the GMs and the coaches. Yes, I am, but like, it doesn't like considering Ivan, you're gonna make I don't know your 50 billion, 60 billion a season, whatever it is. It doesn't hurt to make sure these guys get paid. That way, they like if a coach gets fired after 2 years, they made a lot of money for themselves. So if a coach, let's say, has 2 losing seasons, well, they have like 35 wins. They made 10.5 million. 10.5 million. They made 20 million in bonuses alone, and they made maybe 5 million for the 2 seasons. They just made $30 million for themselves in 2 seasons. They can retire and never have to work again. That way they're taken care of. It doesn't hurt to make sure they get paid. That way they work hard for you. Considering you're making all that money, you're gonna make like your tens of millions off your your league. Make sure you guys are paid. But if you want more money, I'm not paying more money. Maybe 30,000 is too much. Maybe I should lower. I might lower it to maybe 20,000. That way they don't do me. That's a bit too. That's a bit too generous for the coaches and GM. Maybe 20K. Pay them a 20K bonus, right? A 20K winning bonus. That 30 is a bit too much. That's me being way too generous. Well, the players are worth more money because they're the product on the ice. They're the ones who the fans love. They're the ones who are putting on a show on TV and who are entertaining the fans and who the fans love. Obviously, that's how it is in the world. They deserve more money, but the coaches and GMs are not worth as much. Yeah, they're not worth as much, right? I'll do 20,000. 30 is a bit too much, right? So 20,000. Let's say a coach with a losing season has 35 wins. 20 times 35. They made $7 million. In bonuses, 2 seasons, they made $14 million. When they made $5 million for those 2 seasons, they made $24 million in career earnings. Obviously. If another team doesn't want to pick them up, they never have to work again with that money. If you made $24 million with yourself, you never have to work again. You can retire, man. Just spend time on the beach. And just enjoy yourself, obviously. You can't work in my league and you're left behind, but at least you made a lot of money. If you're smart with your money, you can invest your money and live a great life, obviously. That's why I do that. That way they get paid. 30,000 is too much. No, I have to be 20,000 for the coach and GM. 30,000 is way too much. I'm being way too generous with the GM. That's way too much. I'll do 20,000 in bonuses for the GMs and coaches. And the presidents get league revenue, because they're the ones doing that dirty work, running the teams. They have to manage all the financial stuff. That's dirty work. Make sure everyone gets paid working for the team. They're running all the teams on my behalf, right? The president's office. It's dirty work. Yeah. That's when the SHL will blow the SHL water. Assuming that's our prerogative. But I highly doubt, guys, I'm going to move sorry, BJ. And I hope you guys enjoy my deep insight about pro sports. You're a genius. I know my shit about pro sports, guys. It was Iron Man. I was saying, peace out, guys. So I am, son.